I think in third grade, there's a push from fluency to comprehension. And I think making inferences is very difficult at like this age. So I really wanted to highlight how you could actually scaffold inferencing and make it a really engaging lesson for students. The goal for the students is to learn how to make an inference. Then I even want to push it a little bit further at the end as an extension is write their own inference. My goal is for them to kind of read between the lines. I think that's a very important skill in real life and in writing for them to like be able to give details for the reader to infer something. So I really wanted to push critical thinking in my classroom. Also, like it's also related to the Common Core standards, so it's aligned with that. With reading, it's really difficult to teach whole group, I think. So in my lesson, I introduce the concept whole group, just the skill and how to do it. And then I actually break up my reading into centers. And then I work with children 4 times, and they rotate 4 times with me. So I'm working directly with each student just to see where they're at. I'm pretty familiar with my students' lexile levels and where they are in comprehension. So maybe I might have to differentiate or spend more time with that child when they're in my center. Also, when I'm doing my lesson, they have individual cards that are not the same, so they can't wait for their partner to answer. And also they have whiteboards at the same time writing their evidence. So I can see immediately as we're working that center, if this child's not writing anything, I can just guide them right there. Expectations is a big thing in my classroom. It's something that we work with the first 2 weeks of school. There's high expectations in this classroom. We have core values that our students are familiar with the language. We have a color chart that students are familiar with. We have verbal warnings, and we have different processes that students understand. But most of all, I think the biggest classroom management tool I use is make the lesson fun. And if they need a break, I have to say, look, you're not being responsible right now. Can you take a 1 or 2 minute break away from your group? And that usually just calms them down, and then I bring them back. I think just in general, like inference is a pretty big word for a 3rd grader. So what does that even mean? And can you describe making an inference without using that word inference? Because if a student is able to describe the skill or strategy, then that can tell you that they kind of really understand what's happening. After learning what the strategy is and how to do it, can you find evidence to share or to explain how you made that inference? Like an example is if I'm angry or if you are angry, what are the clues from it? So it translates to text. What are the clues? The author didn't say the character's angry, but what is the evidence in the story that gives you that? For discussion purposes, I think, what is an inference? Why is it important to do? And what is the evidence that you see? Can you answer those 3 questions clearly? And if they can, it shows that students have learned the goal. I kind of make it like a game. I think students really love I don't know why, it's just a piece of paper or a card. They prefer the card. Whiteboards are something that they love to work with too. Also, the inference cards that I'm using are kind of relevant and situational, like everyday situations that they can really relate to. So I've done inferencing before. It's a skill that we work on all year. And they really are prone to like kind of riddles. During the week, we do it 4 times. And then there's a vocabulary center. There is a Lexia center, which is our technology, student technology. This week, I'm trying to infuse art, so we have a mural center. And then there's a teacher center. So it's only 30 to 40 minutes of direct instruction with the teacher. And because it's 4 or 5 students, I really, really get to engage with those students. I can see where the learning breaks down. And all the other centers are pretty engaging. So it kind of I don't have really too much management problems, unless the internet breaks down. Yeah. This lesson is meaningful to students because I think it's really important to connect personal experiences and prior knowledge into their reading. It really helps students understand the author's point of view when they're able to connect it to occurrences in their lives. So I think making an inference is a really important skill because it kind of goes beyond the just surface of learning and actually really helps them internalize what they're actually taking and how it relates to their life. It goes to like social clues. If you see a friend kind of angry and upset, they're not going to tell you, hey, I'm upset when you did this. You need to actually infer, okay, one, I made a comment that might have made them not happy. Two, what can I do to fix that? So I think inferencing is actually a really important skill with children, because it's not flat out in everyday lives, I didn't like it when you did this. You have to infer through contextual clues.